2311 Racing continues to talk about potentially expanding for the 2022 season, and North Wilkesboro and Rockingham have potentially a chance of maybe coming back here in the foreseeable future. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a lot of stories to discuss here today on this channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight to it. We're going to start off all the paint schemes and sponsor news here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight to it. The first paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Austin Dillon's 2021 Bass Pro Shots Patriotic scheme that we are going to see at the Coca-Cola 600. Austin Dillon likes to run, especially in the Coca-Cola 600, likes to run a lot of tribute paint schemes. This one, in my opinion, looks really, really awesome. Did a great job. The red, white, and blue works really well on this car, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this car out on the racetrack at the Coca-Cola 600. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Kaz Grall's 2021 Young's Building Raincoat scheme that we are going to see this weekend in the Truck Series race at Circuit Americas. Kaz Grall is going to be racing this weekend. It's great to see he's going to be back in the Truck Series. I think he'll do very, very well this weekend. I really do like this paint scheme a lot. It looks really, really solid, and I think I'll be looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Circuit Americas this weekend. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Parker Kligerman's 2021 Good Sam scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Already see that Parker Kligerman is going to be running this weekend. There was a good chance that the 75 team was not going to be running this weekend, but the fact that that organization is going to be running is really, really cool. Great to see it. I really like this paint scheme a lot. Very good colors. I'm definitely forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Preston Partis' 2020 Chinchorro scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Like the paint scheme a lot. Colors look really, really cool. Great to see a Chinchorro partnering up with Preston Partis. Really, really cool. Hopefully we'll help him get a good run this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is William Byron's 2020 Liberty University Patriotic scheme that we're going to see next weekend at the Coca-Cola 600. Really like the red, white, and blue in this game. I think Liberty University colors really, really work very well, so you can really integrate the red, white, blue in the car. I really like this paint scheme a lot, and I really cannot wait to see this one out on the racetrack at the Coca-Cola 600. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Alex Bowman's 2020 Ally Patriotic scheme that we'll see next weekend as well at the Coca-Cola 600. Once again, I really like this paint scheme a lot. I'm a big fan of the Ally paint schemes that Alex Bowman has had this year so far. This one I really, really do like a lot. The colors work very, very well. One thing I don't is not a big fan is the purple on the car a little bit, but I do like the stripes that they did on this car. I'm looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at the Coca-Cola 600. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Quinn House 2021 DreamWorks Mane and Tail scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Really awesome, and DreamWorks is teaming up with Starcom, by the way. Starcom's had some really interesting sponsors that have come on. DreamWorks is a massive, massive company. I really do like this paint scheme a lot for their new movie, of course. Really good paint scheme overall. Definitely look forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Josh Blickey's 2021 Junctions Field scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. I really like the paint scheme a lot. The color looks really, really well. The yellow, I really, really like it a lot. It's kind of plain at points, but also sometimes plain and simple is a lot better than sometimes just all the colors on the car. I really like it a lot. Definitely look forward to see this paint scheme out on the racetrack this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Grant Enfinger's 2020 Good Sam scheme that we will see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. Really great to see that Grant Enfinger is getting this car, so he'll be back in the 9th truck this weekend for the CR7 Motorsports, if I'm not mistaken. I really like this paint scheme a lot. Really like the colors on it a lot, and definitely want to see this one out of the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Cannon Murphy's 2020 Inox scheme that we'll see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas in the Truck Series. Very interesting color scheme, in my honest opinion. I like the number. It looks really, really cool. The color of the number, it looks really, really cool. I think they did a very solid job on this paint scheme for sure. Great to see that Cam Murphy's getting, again, a very good opportunity with Spencer Davis Racing. Did a solid job on his paint scheme, and I'm looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Circuit of the Americas. And then the final paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Bubba Wallace's 2020 DoorDash Reverse scheme, special scheme, excuse me, that we'll see this weekend at Circuit of the Americas. They're running a different scheme. Usually Bubba Wallace has red on the DoorDash cars, but they're changing up this week. It's more and more white, and there's a little bit blue on the car as well. They did something really funny. They said Race Week on the title on Twitter. I thought that was really, really cool. I think they did a really good job on that. But I actually really do like this paint scheme a lot. There's been some good 2311 schemes. There's also been some iffy 2311 schemes. But I actually do like this paint scheme a lot. I think they did a good job on it. We saw it in the iRacing, can't remember, the Coco iRacing Series race. I'm really excited about this one. I think it looks really, really cool. And I hope it will help Bubba Wallace going forward this week and help him get a good run, though the Bubba Wallace is not really good on road courses. Hoping that Bubba Wallace can run really, really well with the Spain scheme. It'd be really cool if Bubba Wallace got that opportunity to run really well this weekend with that car. And now we're going to jump onto all the other major stories that we discussed here on today's channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into those stories. The first story we're going to talk about is Norm Benning, as Norm Benning unfortunately has withdrawn from Circuit of the Americas. It makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. Norm Benning was probably not going to make it in, especially since qualifying is most likely to happen, even though there is rain and thunderstorms in the forecast weekend. The weather has definitely been improving. I think Norm Benning saw that, and especially since Norm Benning is probably going to generally be off the pace this weekend, expect Norm Benning probably to make the race regardless this weekend. I think that he was going to absolutely struggle to make it in with qualifying expected to happen. I don't expect Norm Benning to really have an opportunity to really make it this weekend. I think Norm Benning will absolutely struggle. I don't think he's going to have a shot at making it. I think it makes a lot of sense, which means there's a good chance that 3 drivers will probably end up missing this weekend and not being able to make it into the race. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame board. Now, there's going to be no 2022 NASCAR Hall of Fame class this year, because remember last year they basically canceled the 2022 NASCAR Hall of Fame due to the fact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The 2021 class is going to be inducted later this year in January, so there is not going to be a 2022 NASCAR Hall of Fame class. There will be a 2023 Hall of Fame class, but there will be no 2022 NASCAR Hall of Fame class. It makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you, that there is going to be none, considering, like I mentioned last year, we had COVID-19 and there was not going to be an induction class, but they'll be back in 2023. I'm very intrigued to see if, at least for 2023, they're going to expand the field a little bit, but I'm not sure if they're going to do that. But I think it makes a lot of sense there's going to be no Hall of Fame class this year. I found that very intriguing and saw a lot of people talk about it, so that was really forward that we discussed that today on the channel. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Stephen Light. As Stephen Light is going to be driving the 61 for MBM Motorsports this weekend. Makes a lot of sense. Stephen Light, we didn't know exactly what his schedule was going to be for MBM Motorsports. We knew there was going to be able to start quite a few races that he was going to run, including most of the road courses, especially in the Xfinity Series. I think he's a very solid road course racer. I think he's done really good on the road course tracks in the past, and I know the MBM cars generally are not that fast, but I think Stephen Light is a very talented driver. He tends to get the best out of his equipment when he does race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I think that he'll have a good shot of running up front, and I think not a good shot of running up front, but I think he'll have a good shot of being pretty solid this weekend. And I'm wishing the best of luck for Stephen Light. Hopefully he does very well this weekend here at COTA, and I hope he qualifies really well, because I think this car can have a lot of speed. I think he would have a good shot, at least potentially at a top 15 this weekend. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're going to talk about Boris Said. As Boris Said in a report yesterday said that he is potentially open to running more races following Circuit of the Americas. Really exciting that Boris Said is definitely interested in running more races. I think Boris Said, even though he's 58 years old, I think Boris Said retiring a few years ago really put a sour taste in my mouth. I thought that Boris Said could have run a lot more races. And I think it's really cool that Boris Said is interested. Now, if Boris Said is to run more races in NASCAR, he's not going to be running for competitive teams. He'll probably run for like MBM Motorsports, Carl Long. He actually did say that if he is to run more races, he would run for MBM Motorsports. I think that would make a lot more sense, to be honest with you, because MBM Motorsports, like I said, he's really, for the last couple years of his career, really did run for many competitive organizations. And I think it'd make a lot of sense that he would run for kind of a slower organization, though. I think he probably, even at 58 years old, would probably get the best out of his equipment if he was to run. But yeah, I think it's really exciting that he is still interested in racing once again. It's great to see that, and despite it's only been a one-off run right now, that he's interested in running some more races this year. If he is to run, I think it'd be really cool. Great to see that Boris Said is interested in running more races. I think it's definitely really awesome news for sure. And hopefully he will get an opportunity to race in more races later this year. I think that would be really awesome for him. I think that'd be really cool. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're going to talk about Beecham McLeod Motorsports, as there has been some point changes that are taking place for Beecham McLeod Motorsports going into this weekend. So, the 5 team has the 99 owners points now, which means that they will go from 38th place up to 24th in the owners points standings. The 78 team now has the 5 owners points. They were basically go from 36. Now they're going to drop down to 38th in the owners points. And a 99 now has the 78th owners points. They have 36th position owners points. They go from 24th down to 36th in the owners points position. I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. I believe the Xfinity Series only has 38 cars that are qualifying, and so if qualifying isn't to happen, all these guys won't be able to make it in regards. But like I mentioned earlier, the Norm Benning situation, it's very likely that practice qualifying is going to happen. So it is going to be happening later today. I think it's very intriguing that Beecham McLeod Motorsports has decided to make this move. There's been so many teams that are making really interesting moves when it comes to their owners' points situation. It's kind of crazy what they're doing right there with their owners' points, changing up a little bit. All these guys are hopefully should be able to qualify, and I think all three guys that are raced this weekend in those cars are very, very talented. Wishing the best of luck for them, and hope that they are able to make it into the race this weekend. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode. As we are talking about the Penny Series, as it was announced yesterday from the Penny Series that they are going to be delaying the start of their NASCAR Penny Series season has unfortunately been delayed due to the pandemic. If you've been paying attention to what's been happening up in Canada, unfortunately, they've been having more issues with the COVID-19 pandemic than here in the United States. They've been having issues with getting vaccines out, though they have been increasing slowly but surely as America has been basically sending to countries like India, who's been really, really struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic, and Canada have been getting more doses of the COVID-19 vaccine recently. They're starting to slowly but surely open up places and stuff in Canada. There's beginning the reopening plan. NASCAR is hoping to basically have racing back in Canada as early as next year. They're hoping to have racing back up there very, very soon, as early as probably August later this year. They're beginning to reopen up, and they're hoping to get racing back up in the Canada area in August really, really soon. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they canceled the IndyCar race at Toronto, and they also canceled the race in Montreal for Formula 1. I think it definitely makes a lot of sense that they're making this soon, to be honest with you. It's disappointing for sure. They're hoping to run 10 races later this year. It's definitely disappointing, but I think they made the right decision over at Canada right now, especially since things seem to be going worse over at Canada right now than getting better than what's happening in the United States. I know a lot of people are definitely disappointed about this, but I think that they made the smart decision right over there, and I think it's definitely intriguing that they made this move going forward. But yeah, very intriguing news story for sure, and hopefully they will get to have racing very, very soon in the Penny Series. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Jeff Green, as he officially announced this morning that he has officially retired from racing in NASCAR. Jeff Green, for those who don't know, is one of the greatest NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers of all time. He won the 2000 NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship driving for Greg Paulus' organization, PPC Racing, and he won quite a few races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He also competed in the Cup Series quite a few times. He raced in the Cup Series, I think, from like around in the 1990s all the way up to around 2010 or 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I think he made a few starts later in the 2010s, but he hasn't been really racing that much this year. A lot of it is due to the fact that last year he tested positive for COVID-19, and last year Maya Sider drove the 93 car for RSS Racing, and he also got injured in 2019, which really, really affected his opportunity to continue racing. Jeff Green had a very, very long career, had a really, really awesome career at the same time as well. Really wishing the best for Jeff Green. Congratulations on an awesome career, my man, in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And congratulations on a great career, and hoping for a really, really good retirement for you, man, because you really, really deserve it. And congratulations on that opportunity to retire. And now we're going to go jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about the SRX. As even before they start the season, they are going to have officially a video game that is going to be released. You heard that right. The SRX has an official video game that is going to be released on May 28th. All 16 drivers in the SRX are going to be in this game. They will have all the current tracks that are going to be SRX, and also they're going to have 45 extra dirt tracks that are going to be in the game. This also will include dirt late models, 305 sprint cars, and stadium trucks that are going to be in this. First of all, I think it's really cool that the SRX is getting a game even before their bid season actually begins. But what really, really sucks, despite everything, is that the SRX series, it hasn't even started. It has a video game before IndyCar is going to have a video game. Now, there have been talks that IndyCar might be getting a video game with the current, with Kim at the company that's going to be running the organization now over for NASCAR games. But they're talking Motorsports Games is talking about basically getting more games over there, and they're trying to develop more games over there, so a chance IndyCar could come over from Motorsports Games. But SRX gets a game for IndyCar really, really sucks, but also I think it's really cool the SRX is going to have a video game. I found that really intriguing. Great to see the SRX is going to have a video game. And now we're going to jump onto the next story of today's episode, as we're talking about Nashville Super Speedway. As Nashville Super Speedway has announced that they are officially going to have full capacity and all tickets are officially sold out for the Nashville Super Speedway race. They had brought additional grandstands into race just in case that they had the social distance, but now all 38,000 tickets have officially sold out for the weekend at Nashville Super Speedway. And basically, masks are not required for the event, though they encourage people who are not currently vaccinated to wear masks for the event. Eric Moses, president of Nashville Super Speedway, was very, very giddy on the pocket, said he was very, very optimistic that they were going to have full capacity for the event. And I think it's really, really cool that they're going to have full capacity. Great to see this for sure. a lot of tracks have been opening up to basically full capacity over the last couple weeks. We've seen Atlanta open up. We've got Daytona later this year open up. Darlington, Kansas, Bristol's expecting to have full capacity. Pocono's going to have full capacity. The Coca-Cola 600 weekend is going to have full capacity. And now National Super Speedway joins the long list of tracks that are officially opening up to full capacity. I think this is really, really awesome, and Nashville is going to have full capacity for their upcoming event. It makes a lot of sense, too, since Tennessee has been opening up very, very quickly, and it's really cool to see. I'm very excited about this because I think it's really awesome. National Super Speedway is going to have full capacity for their grant. Definitely some really awesome news for sure in regards to National Super Speedway, and I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure. Great to see that is officially happening. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Austin Cindric. As Austin Cindric is going to be attempting to qualify for the All-Star race at Texas Motor Speedway later next month. I think it's awesome. Austin Cindric is going to be attempting. We've been seeing Austin Cindric in the news the last couple weeks because he's going to be running some Cup races. He's going to be running at Circuit Americas this weekend, and he also is going to be running at Road America later this year as well in July 4th. But they announced yesterday he'll also be running in the All-Star race as well. Good experience for him for sure. I think that Austin Cindric definitely is going to have a shot at making it, especially since he is going to have experience coming in an event. As I also, if I'm not mistaken, believe that the Xfinity Series race is going to be that Sunday as well. I could be wrong on that, but I think the Xfinity race is going to be on Sunday, so he's going to have experience coming into the event, which could help him. Plus, he's going to be in a Team Penske car, so that can also help him on his feet as well. And I think he's a very, very talented driver driving for Team Penske car. I definitely think he has a shot at making it, but I think this is a really cool opportunity for Austin Cindric. He's going to run the All-Star race, and hopefully he will have a shot of potentially making it in to the All-Star race. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Matt DiBenedetto. As Matt DiBenedetto had an interview recently with NASCAR Series and NASCAR Radio with Daniel Trotta and Jordan Bianchi, and he says that he feels very optimistic about the future of his career at Team Penske. For those who have not been paying attention into the news, Brad Keselowski expected to become a driver-owner in a new organization called Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. He's expected to go over to Roush Fenway Racing next year and drive the number 6 car, which means that the 2 car is expected to be left vacant, though we'll talk about that here in a second. Now, Matt DiBenedetto was not supposed to be returning to Wood Brothers in 2021-22, but that was basically before, of course, Matt DiBenedetto, basically before we thought that Brad Keselowski was going to be returning to the 2 next year, but now it is expected Brad Keselowski is going to be moving over to the 6. I want to talk about this for a second. Has Matty D absolutely performed at Wood Brothers this year? No, I think he could have honestly done better so far this year, but he's definitely at points had good runs this year. But I think you also have to remember the Wood Brothers is not as good an organization as Team Penske. And I think that with the lack of practice qualifying, I think that definitely has affected him. And I think he's done a little bit better with more time he's gotten on the track. And if they're going to be practice qualifying over the next couple of weeks, I think that could definitely help Matty D improve over time. Now, I think that Matt DiBenedetto is going to remain in the Penske Corporation. I think he's either going to end up driving the 2 car full-time next year, or he's going to end up driving, once again, returning to Wood Brothers. I likely see this happening. I think that Matt DiBenedetto is going to continue driving for Wood Brothers next year. I know that a lot of people think that Austin Cindric is going to go to the 21, and I really thought that so too. But now with this being confirmed, Keselowski is expected to go over to Roush Fenway Racing and become the driver co-owner for that organization. I feel extremely confident saying this. I really think that Matt DiBenedetto remains in the 21 camp next year, and Austin Cindric being the son of Tim Cindric, who's the president and competition director for the IndyCar program and the president of Team Penske. I am expecting Austin Cindric to go full-time to Team Penske in the 2 car, and with the fact that Wood Brothers does have a little bit of sponsorship going for them with Paul Menard basically the sponsor over there right now, I think it makes a lot of sense that Matt DiBenedetto will stay in the 21 camp, and I think he will remain with Team Penske, remain with the Penske Corporation, remain with Wood Brothers going forward in the 2022 season, excuse me. That's just my honest opinion on that. And now we're going to go and jump on to the first of 2 major stories in today's episode, as we are talking about North Wilkesboro and Rockingham once again. As it was announced on Wednesday evening that Governor Roy Cooper announced $30 million of the American Rescue Plan money will go towards infrastructure repairs at Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, Charlotte. Breakdown looks like each track is going to get $10 million. Talk about a crazy week this week, as it's now expected that each of those tracks are expected to get $10 million in repairs. This is really, really big news for both these tracks. Not just North Wilkesboro, who's been trying to get their track repaired, but for Rockingham as well. I think that there are things happening at both those tracks right now. We know that North Wilkesboro has been trying to repair. We know that Marcus Lemonis is expected to send $1 million over to that racetrack to repair that track as well, but they were going to need a lot more. Dale Jr. has been saying that they basically need around $80 million on Twitter, but then he also said on his download that they basically need $30 million. Save the Speedway says they need about $11 to $12 million to get repaired the track. If it's true what Save the Speedway said, then they probably could have the track fully operational. Now, North Wilkesboro is not as likely to happen as Rockingham. We'll talk about why in a second, but North Wilkesboro is going to need a lot of things to get that track repaired. They basically have had issues with flooding over the years. They've had issues with a lot of things over in North Wilkesboro. Now, they've, of course, have basically tried to work on the track, and they've got people that are basically been pushing for the track to come back. I really do hope it happens, but I think this is really good on that front. Rockingham is more likely, and here's the reason why I think Rockingham is more likely to happen than North Wilkesboro. I think that both tracks do have a chance. But the reason I think Rockingham is more likely is, one, they're currently racing at Rockingham right now in the Cars Late Model Series, and they have all the safety components that they need. They have safer barriers at the track. They have a lot of updated things that are going on. I don't think Rockingham, I think the $10 million for sure will help Rockingham make sure that track has everything updated and stuff. So they do still think they need things updated, need more grandstands at the track. But North Wilkesboro and that is going to need more stuff. Because remember, they haven't raced in North Wilkesboro since around 2011, 2012, when they brought some of those late model series back, which Chase one of those tracks, by the way. But I can tell you right now, the fact that both tracks could end up coming back in the 2000 near future. It's not going to be 2022 for these tracks, Matt, but the fact that there is a very, very strong chance that North Wilkesboro and Rockingham both could end up coming back in the foreseeable future is definitely some really, really exciting news. I'm definitely really excited about the future of both these tracks, and hopefully both these tracks will get an opportunity of coming back here very, very soon. So I think this is really, really exciting news overall for North Wilkesboro and Rockingham's future, because I think Roy Cooper has basically just saved both speedways, not just North Wilkesboro, but he has saved Rockingham as well and kept that track up for the foreseeable future. And now we're going to jump on to the final stories of today's episode as we are talking about 2311 Racing once again. 2311 Racing announced yesterday they have a deal with their DraftKings and sponsorship for the second Pocono race. They are going to be sponsoring the second Pocono race later this year, which also includes creating in-app experience and social media content. DraftKings is a massive, massive company where you basically get to bet on races, of course, and all other sporting events as well. They'll be sponsoring. By the way, the paint scheme that they released looks really, really awesome. The colors look really, really cool on the car, but they're working with DraftKings. This is a huge company, by the way, that they're partnering up with. DraftKings, another major sponsor that is partnered up. They basically, I thought we basically thought that they were basically sold out on sponsorship, but I guess DraftKings really, really wants to work on with 2311. I think this is really, really big news, by the way, for the DraftKings company, which we'll jump into the other side of the story right now. Adam Sturt has reported that DraftKings coming on board will have 2311 Racing with its suspension plans, as the team is in talks to acquire a second charter as soon as next year. 2311 was already sold out this year on sponsorship, but DraftKings could grow the team and help fund potentially a second car. 2311 Racing has basically been in discussions potentially to get a charter, and they've been talking about this for a couple months. We know that they're basically planning on opening up a shop, and they want to eventually become the second big TRD organization. We know that Joe Gibbs Racing is the biggest TRD organization, but 2311 Racing wants to be that next step going forward. They do have the funding now at this point. The fact that DraftKings is coming on and sponsoring 2311 Racing, I think is a major deal, and I think that's going to help 2311 Racing with their potential of expanding going forward. But I think that one thing that's really going to be the major hurdle for them is, of course, acquiring a charter, because there's only 36 charters right now, and all those charters are getting filled up right now. But I think that they have a very likely chance now of happening because of the reason that I talked about. A week or two ago, it was reported by NASCAR and NBC that Spire Motorsports and Rickwer Racing might be willing to sell one of their charters. Rickwer basically more likely than Spire Motorsports. They said that they are only expecting to run 3 full-time cars, and there's a very good chance Rickwer Racing will downsize one of their cars and sell a charter, and they're definitely willing to sell it. I think that 2311 Racing is most likely. Yes, of course, you have teams like College Racing and Junior Motorsports who do want to get that charter, but I think that 2311 Racing definitely has a very good shot of going over there and getting that charter. Now, if they are to expand next year, I think that there's a few drivers you have to look at that could end up going over there. You have to look at guys like Harrison Burton, John Hunter Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, among others that could get an opportunity. Ty Dillon as well, and Brandon Jones, who most likely are the 5 drivers that are in the running because they're all in the TRD camp and they have a lot of experience. Now, I personally think that the 2 or 3 drivers that are most likely to go over to 2311 Racing are John Hunter Nemechek and Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton has been in the TRD camp for quite a few years now. He's been in there since around 2016, 2017, when he drove in the K&N stuff, where it became the ARCA West Series and ARCA East Series. He was in the K&N Series. He also has been basically driving for Joe Gibbs Racing for the last couple years in the Xfinity Series. Started driving for them last year and ended up winning 3 or 4 races, including almost making it to the championship by winning 4 races that year. And he's basically had a Cup Series start earlier this year at Talladega and was pretty successful in there driving for Godbrothers in that race. John Hunter Nemechek, of course, currently drives for Kyle Busch Racing, Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series currently at the moment, and he's been doing a pretty good job over there. He's got 2 wins so far this year and is a championship favorite so far. I think one of the big reasons why he jumped down to the Truck Series drive for Kyle Busch Motorsports, I think he's looking to potentially go to that second ride. I think most likely those are the 2 drivers that are going to end up driving for 23XI if they are to expand next year. And I think the number that they would end up going to, of course, is the 45, since that was also another number that Michael Jordan had. But we'll have to keep watching as time goes on. But I think those 2 are the most likely candidates that will end up probably going over to 23XI Racing for a second 23XI car if they are to expand next season. So, anyway, that is it for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notification on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below for that and combo your thoughts on today's video. Do you believe the 23XI Racing is definitely going to expand next year or not? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about the potential of Rockingham and North Wilkesboro coming back next year? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.